Dave, we were just talking with Justin Robleski, and I thought he said something really powerful. He was asked about if there was a conversation about going back out for the ninth, and he had said, you know, it's something that he has to earn. What have you learned just about Justin when you look at how he performed last year, finding success in October, and the guy that we saw today who was able to get through 8 shutout innings?
Well, I would say that he certainly earned the opportunity to go back out for the ninth. He pitched a heck of a ball game. I think for me the decision was he hasn't gone more than 5 innings in a long time. So then now you're talking about the health of the player. And so that's why when we talk about pitch counts and things like that, there's more to that than pitch counts. And so for him to get up 8 times and to throw the baseball the way he did, you could see the velocity start to go down. And so I'm looking at his health. And so he had a heck of a ball game. He was efficient. Those guys were swinging. But, considering where the bullpen was at going into tonight, huge lift, and really, really proud of, what he's done, in literally a calendar year, how far he's come.
Yeah, really relied on the fastball and slider. It seems like kind of late in the season last year, there was so much conversation with him of go out and attack, and that's what we saw out of the bullpen. Seeing him do that as a starter now, what does that say as to where he is? A
lot of hard work that he puts into the weight room. And I think that's something we've talked about. We talked about it yesterday, where you have that mindset, but you have to be able to have the workload, as far as kind of being able to have the mindset, but also have the ability to go as hard as you can for as long as you can. And that's something that he's always had that mindset. And I think the bullpen, what he did and has done out of the bullpen, has certainly helped it. He's just kind of elongated, those stints as a starter. And can't say enough about what he's done for us.
He only had like 2 strikeouts and 4 whiffs. Like, what did he do to be able to attack the zone that much and still kind of limit the contact over the course of the game?
Well, I think he limited the hard contact, and I think that those guys are very, very aggressive. And if they're going to put the ball in play, there's only so much a pitcher can do outside of trying to get behind and make them chase out of the strike zone. So, we want outs. And so he'll get his strikeouts. So the 2 strikeouts, no walks, love the no walks, and the 2 strikes isn't a second thought. I mean, it was a great major league outing.
Is a performance like that kind of a whole team effort when he's not getting all the swing and miss, on his own, and he's relying on the defense behind him?
It is. Max played well over there. Miggy had a great play to his left, and Santiago had some easy ground balls, and there's some pop-ups and fly balls. But, to be quite honest, there was just a lot of missing of the barrel and just being on the attack. And again, the goal is to get outs. And so he went 8 innings, and you don't see that very often, in Major League Baseball these days.
Well, we talk so much about like the depth that you guys have and the young players. I mean, to think back to, like you said, like where he was a year ago and that DC start and kind of the way he's grown. What does it say about him, and what does it say about kind of what you guys do as a team to be able to like filter these guys in and rely on?
Well, we have a lot of depth, a lot of talented pitchers, but that's an individual thing for me. I think that he was at a crossroads and chose a hard path to go down there and self-reflect and gain some confidence and bring it back up here. There's talent, but there's also what's practical, what plays at the big league level, and that's strike throwing, and that's being able to sequence, miss barrels, put it on the ground, create soft contact, work with efficiency. Those are things that help a championship team win games, and he has a really good grasp of that.
Dave, obviously your rotation, right? You got the 3 kind of big, all-star guys at the front of the rotation, and then you got 3 kind of guys that are kind of younger, still trying to kind of establish themselves. When you see a guy come out and pitch like this, big picture, I mean, how much better do you kind of feel about the rotation in general?
Really well. We feel great about the rotation, because I think that if you're looking at, we're running out 6 guys right now, and number one, it's hard to run 6 starters out there in the big leagues, and then so we have 3 guys that are, call it 24, 25, and then you have some other guys that are more proven. It's a really good balance, and also I think it just helps everyone, and they're going to be building off each other. They learn from each other, and we still got a ways to get our other guy back. So there's a lot of baseball, a lot of starts that are going to be made before that. So for me right now, we're just enjoying running these guys out there, and a lot's going to change down the road. But right now, in real time, it's fun to watch each night.
Hey Dave, Paez had the big hit again tonight. His start to the season's been incredible, leading a bunch of offensive categories. Is this the player you thought he could be, or are you somewhat pleasantly surprised how well he's been doing?
It's going to be hard to imagine hitting 400, but I will say that the at-bat quality, the center field defense, that is the player that we had hoped. I just think that the process, the work, the prep, all that stuff, he's really, really locked in, and he's got an understanding of what it takes for him to get ready for a big league ball game. And, the ability to kind of hit all pitches. I mean, he hit a 2-0 curveball tonight for a homer and rode it out. I mean, that's doing something. It's not cheap to get to a fastball. So he's doing a lot of good things. So, yeah, this is the player that we hope we'd get. And homegrown guy, and kind of seeing where he was a few years ago, it's fun to watch.
Any concern with Shohei, the ball that hit him as it pertains to like his start this week?
No, I'm happy he's not pitching tomorrow. Probably a bruise, but I don't think it's going to impact his start.
Just when you're looking at this Mets lineup, you obviously have a propensity for attacking the zone. What, if anything, changes when you're reading their swings there?
Yeah, I think a big point of emphasis for me is just trying to keep it as simple as I can. They've got a really good lineup, and kind of looking through the scouting report, they got a lot of guys in that lineup. Mainly those, I think it was 4, 5, 6, wherever that, like with Polanco and all those guys, that lane, they hit lefties pretty well. So they're just being cognizant of that and knowing where we're at. But I think without runners on base, I think for me let's just attack and see where we're at. The game plan was just go out there as always and throw a lot of strikes and kind of keep them off balance by using my stuff, and that's where we work.
I imagine one of the memorable games you'll ever have as a big league at least. What's the feeling like when you throw that in?
Yeah, I feel good. I'm hoping there's plenty of other opportunities like that to get a complete game. That's kind of something that I think is really cool, and not a lot of people do it anymore. So tonight, I think that's the most ups I've ever had in a game. I'm going to try to keep building and get myself in a spot where hopefully I can complete some of those, and that's kind of the goal for me, and that's something I think is really cool.
What is the key when you are getting quick outs like you were tonight?
I think the key is just to keep attacking, doing the same stuff. I don't think there's any secret to it. I think, I think a lot of being a good pitcher and preventing runs is kind of knowing where you're at in the game, knowing where you're at in the lineup. And I think for me, we had a 4-run lead. We're hitting the ball well. So just kind of being like, all right, now we got this 4-run lead, let's attack. And I think that's, again, always the goal for me.
You didn't give up your first hit until the 5th inning. Did no-hitter, perfect game cross your mind at all?
I knew it was happening. I think for me, I get through that 4th or whatever, and I'm there. But again, I think for me, it's just head down, keep doing the same stuff. I'm not, actively going out there and trying to throw a no-hitter. You know what I mean? I think that's something that just happens if you execute. And I think he got that hit, and then I don't think there was any different feelings or oh man, I lost. I'm not thinking about stuff like that. I'm just thinking about how can I get these hitters out, because they're a really good team.
I know earlier in your career you kind of talked about kind of feeling like a bit of an outsider in terms of going to a smaller high school and stuff. Obviously now you're kind of in a star-studded rotation. You probably get overlooked a bit. Do you still kind of carry those types of feelings?
Yeah, I think for me it's never been. The road to get where I'm at has been a little bumpy, but I think that's kind of what makes it great. I think a lot of it's about the journey. It's not about where you end up getting to, and I think that's kind of something that drives you every day. We have all these guys here that are really good pitchers, but at the end of the day, I'm blessed to be able to be around them and learn from them, because I think they've made me much better. So just getting the opportunity on a team like this, I think it's just, I'm really, really lucky and blessed to be able to be around these guys.
What was the discussion like for the 9th inning, whether you're going to come out or not?
I think for me I think it's something that I got to earn. You know, if Doc tells me right now, you know, we're going to go with Tanner, I think I trust in Doc. So, yeah, it's like, yeah, it wasn't like a big, like, oh, I want to go back out there. I think I trust in Doc. And at the same time, I know they're protecting me and trying to, you know, keeping my best interest in mind, which we really appreciate as players for this organization. That's something they do so well. So there was nothing other than, hey, great job. And yeah, I appreciate them and everything they've done for me. So
If you go back to where you were last year, what's kind of been the difference, you think, between last year and this year that allowed you to have this type of game?
I don't think there's many like crazy differences. I think, you know, when I made the mechanical changes and kind of, you know, simplify the arsenal a little bit towards the back half of last year, it's just been something that I've been trying to kind of roll with into this year. And yeah, I think, you know, today's result is great, but you know, I haven't gone back and looked at it. I feel like I did most of the things that I want to do well today. Obviously, I got ahead in counts. I threw a lot of strikes, so got a lot of quick outs. So those are all things that I look at. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's just going out there and attacking and doing the same thing.
Just you talked going back to last year about like how much your confidence went up. Looking back, I mean, the changes is tonight, like kind of an affirmation. Is the big league level, or is it kind of a game like this even just like surprise you in some ways? Still like the kind of success you had?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think again, it's you can't. And I've said this before, you can't really get experience in the big leagues without facing big league hitters, and it's just something that I've had to continue to learn and grow. And every outing is a learning opportunity, and even tonight there's going to be things that I can go back and look at and be like, okay, I could have made a better pitch there, I could have made a better pitch there. And I think that's the beauty of the game is there's always something you can do better no matter how good your outing is or how good you're swinging it or whatever it is. I think, you know, just being able to build and grow from every outing, I think that's the most important thing.
You're mainly going fastball slider early on. How would you just kind of describe your attack playing with the arsenal early on this one?
Yeah, I think, you know, that's the bread and butter for me is the fastball and the slider. You know, and yeah, I think, yes, at some point I want something that's moving the other way, but at the same time, you know, I think if I can spot my heater, I think that's something I can do, and that's something that Kirsch did forever. So I'm not saying that we're the same guy, but at the same time, you can see, like, you can learn from the greats in that respect is they keep it simple. I mean, there was nothing overly special. He wasn't trying to trick anybody, and I think that's something I've learned is even watching Yama and Snell and all these guys. They're not trying to trick people. They're just executing pitches with great stuff and letting the results happen. And some days you can throw the same pitches and get hit. Some days you can throw those exact same pitches and, you know, have a good outing. So just keeping it simple, I think, is a big thing for me.
You know, obviously Snell started throwing at batters, right? I mean, you know, it's in theory going to be competition for these rotation spots. I imagine staying in the rotation is kind of one of your goals this year.
I'm sure. I mean, I'll do whatever they need me to do. I love playing for this team. I love winning. So as long as I can be here, I want to help the team win and do my job. So whatever that job is, I think we'll be fine.
Last one, guys. Thanks, guys.
Well, the Skechers are giving baby Kirsch. Just three-run homer there early in the game in the third. Looking at that at-bat, you were in a 2-0 count. Gives you a curveball. Were you expecting that, or just how do you kind of read that situation? How much better you've gotten at that one and reading the pitch and getting those results off a breaking ball?
Si le cuentas ese bateo en la entrada cuando sacaste un run, tenías 2 bolas y un strike. ¿Tú estabas esperando una curva en esa situación o qué estabas pensando cuando estabas al bate?
Yo creo que simplemente tratar de buscar algo que estuviera en la zona, un poquito alto. Él nunca ha mostrado gran velocidad en su recta, entonces yo diría que estaba listo para todo, pero que estuviera en la zona.
Yeah, I was just looking for a ball up, something up above the zone, above my hands. Just looking for that pitch. He really doesn't throw a fastball, that overpowering fastball, so just looking more for a zone and specifically over a pitch type.
But in general, getting more positive results against breaking balls, I mean, what does that reflect when it comes to the work you've put in and what you've been seeing at the plate right now?
Este año has sacado más contra curvas o con pitches más lentos. ¿Qué es lo que has hecho diferente o lo que te ha dado más para sobresalir o para tener éxito en eso, contra estos picheos?
Yo creo que los picheos breaking ball, yo creo que yo siempre le he bateado bien. Simplemente que el que no está en la zona es muy difícil batearlo, obviamente, pero los picheos en zona rompientes siempre yo creo que he tenido buen resultado.
Yeah, I feel like I always had really good success against breaking balls or curveballs. just pitches out of the zone are really tough to hit, and obviously when I get out of my zone, those are the pitches I have the hardest time with.
Why do you think you hit those kind of pitches well?
¿Por qué piensas que lo puedes al rompiente también tan bueno?
Simplemente yo creo que lo he hecho siempre, algo que yo he hecho siempre. Lo único que me tengo que preocupar es porque esté en una zona que yo la pueda batear.
Yeah, I don't know really why. I just feel like I've always had success with them. It's just more staying in the zone and hitting pitches that are in the zone as opposed to expanding my zone.
How was it watching Justin pitch tonight at the outing?
¿Qué puedes decir sobre el picheo de Justin esta noche?
Increíble, ¿no? Yo creo que estaba ejecutando su picheo cuando él tenía que hacerlo. Estaba moviendo bien la bola y el resultado estuvo ahí.
Yeah, it was incredible. You know, he was executing his pitches all night, being able to put the ball where he wanted, and it was just really nice to see out there.
For you, is it fun when you're playing behind someone who's, giving up balls in play, but, balls that are all fielded for outs?
Que es cuando un picheo está pichando como así, cuando está pichando bien, pero no significativamente nomás está sacando el ponche, pero está agarrando batazos y tú puedes jugar afuera con ellos.
Yo siempre me mantengo listo, siempre, o sea, desde el center field yo puedo ver mejor la localización de los picheos de él, y hoy estaba localizando muy bien, pero siempre mantengo listo para cuando la bola vaya hacia mí.
Yeah, I think I'm always at the ready. You know, when a pitcher's executing that well, I get a great view of what he's doing with his pitches. So like being able to see it, but then also like I'm always at the ready. So it's nice to be out there when the guy's throwing the way he is.